All right, so for this lesson, I want to talk about moving clips around in the timeline. We have the sequence that we built in the last lesson, and I want to talk about moving segments around once they're in the timeline already. So reorganizing segments as they were in the timeline. This might be a little bit of a shorter lesson because this is a little bit easier, but we'll talk about it as an idea. Normally in this, these segments, these clips in the timeline we'll refer to them as segments. So these are different segments that we have of this sequence that we've built on the timeline. Some on video track 2, we have music on track 1, etc. We have them in different places, etc. And so we'll play a little bit. I'm going to go, so we're going to talk about this control up here. Now, normally, naturally, you can't click on the segments, and clicking on the segments doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't help you. It doesn't provide you with anything here. But you have this button up here, which is called segment mode. Now, we're going to talk about this segment modes. If we right-click on this button, we can go to this red segment mode and this yellow segment mode, or we can choose the red or yellow individually as personal. We're going to start with this yellow one here. This yellow segment mode, we're going to refer to as extract, splice in segment mode. This is going to be the extract, splice in segment mode, basically how it's designed. So let's talk about this, what this does. Now we can click on segments, and you'll see here that I can click on segments. When I click on random segments that don't have audio with them, it will just click on the segment. When I click on segments with audio, like Fidel here, it'll click on both the video and the audio. And the reason that it's doing that is because of this button right here. This is called the link selection toggle. If that was off, it wouldn't click on the synced audio here. But this is a little nice feature that allows us, when we click on something that does have audio, it clicks on the audio as well, so we don't have to click it individually. But as I said, this is called extract, splice in segment mode. So let's talk about what this is going to do. This is if we would like to click on a segment and extract it out. And by that I mean is if you click here and you were to click on, say, this clip of Wayne here, you grab this clip of Wayne and hit the delete key and it would extract it out. So clicking on this with extract would extract this clip out. The delete will now extract. We talked about extract before. That's where you mark an in point, mark an out point, and then close the gap that's made by the clip. Well, now we don't have to mark an in point, out point. Since we're clicking on an entire segment, we're just going to delete this entire segment and extract this out. And so doing so here just eliminates this gap entirely, just removes this completely, basically. So here, take this clip and extract it out. Boom. But doing it here with this clip would throw us out of sync. And the reason being is because there's no corresponding audio. So if we click on this, hit delete, it would mess up our sync, and now everything would be out of sync, and our voices would sound like this.
So the minority male initiative is going
totally wrong. Let's undo. But what's nice about this is that we can take this clip, and we're going to call these clips. This is 4701, 2601, and 701. Let me just go to the B-roll, and I'm going to call these clips here. We're going to look at these clips here in a row. We're going to call 4701. I'm just going to call this A. And 2601, we're going to call this one B. And 7001, we're going to call C. So now we have these clips in a row on the timeline as A, B, and C. You can see them there on the timeline there. I'm going to actually go to the bottom of this. And if I hold down Control and Alt or Command and Option, I can make this track a little bit bigger. I'm going to click on C. Now, right now, it's clip A, clip B, and clip C. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to pull this out, extract this out, lift this out. And so when I pull this out, it extracts it out. So I'm just going to do that again. Pull this out, lift this out, and then I'm going to push it and splice it back in right here. So I'm going to push this down like this and push this in here. And by doing so, I've now changed the order of A, B, and C. I'll do that again. Undo. We'll just go here. We'll just pull this out here and push this back in here. And so now I've just kind of swapped these clips as though they were like cards, and I was just changing the order of where they were. So basically like grabbing this clip, pulling this one out, putting it over here and throwing it down here. It's going to push this clip back over, and it's there. So it is extracting it out, which means it's removing this clip from the sequence, but then it's putting it back in someplace else. So it's kind of like shuffling tiles, if you will. So here I can change this to back. So if I wanted this clip, the B clip first, I could go B here, and then grab the A clip and put it before C. Now, if I want to make sure that I'm right in the cut point, I can kind of see that I'm on the cut point. But remember, I can always use command click. Command click allowed me to snap to cut points. Well, when I do this while dragging, I'm going to turn this to cab. I'm going to say drag C over to here. I don't need to drag up. I can just drag over. I was dragging up just to show you, but I can just drag over and go C, A, B, and now it's in this order. So now it's opening with this clip, cutting to this clip, and then to this clip. Now I want to go back to the original order. So I'm going to go here and grab A and drag this over here and grab A, B, C. Now I like command because it makes me snap to perfect edges. So if I decided that the order of these two clips in a row, breakout room and grown-up table, if grown-up table should be before breakout room, again, I could click, drag over this way, and then as I get closer, I could just hold down command and it would snap, which is just easier than kind of, randomly trying to find it where the cut point is. I may miss it. I can go right in the middle of a clip. This would put grown-up table right in the middle of the breakout room and cut breakout room in half. It would splice it in as though it was cutting in half. But I like to go on the cut points, and so I'll put it in there. But I can change these clips around like so and move this around here like so. So this is a way to move clips around as I need to. This is called extract, splice in, segment mode. This is the yellow guy. Well, let's try this with the bigger idea here. Let's go here and let's grab in Wayne. So I'm going to click on Wayne. Now, Wayne has been cut. So Wayne's actually 3 different sections. So I can use my shift key to click and grab, shift, click and grab, shift, click and grab all 3 of these and move all of these before Fidel. So say, for example, I wanted this entire Wayne section before Fidel. So I'm going to grab this and grab this over to here. Again, as I get closer, I'll hold command. So we'll snap and snap right there to Wayne. And so now Wayne is before Fidel. But guess what? My B-roll didn't come over. My B-roll stayed where it was because I forgot to click on the B-roll. So that's a problem. So now in this case, what I want to do is I want to click on this one, shift click on this, shift click on this, shift click on this, and then shift click on this. But when I do this, I get a problem. And I'll show you the problem. I drag over to here, and I kind of snap over, and I snap to here. And when it does, it gives me an error message. And the error message says, dragging discontiguous segments is only supported for lift overwrite. And I'm not in lift overwrite. I'm in extract, splice in. And the reason why it's doing that is because it doesn't know what to do with this section here. It had a clip, a blank space, and a clip. And you chose to splice in. So is it splicing in and maintaining the gap that's between these clips, or is it pushing this over, or is it putting in the same place as it was based on the new segment? It gets very confused and gets really upset and kind of gets confused with what to do, and it just makes a big mess. And so it doesn't like that. So what it wants you to do, ideally, what it wants you to do is it wants you to grab this, grab this, grab this, grab this, and this, and this. That way these segments are, the blank space is included. And this blank space is something you can click on. In Avid language, this is called filler. This blank space is referred to as filler. And you can grab in the filler and grab in this blank space as an idea. So now it wants to go this way. It just feels more comfortable knowing what you want to do by moving to there, and does that. And it can do that, no problem. And now it can move over and grab like that.
There's an opportunity to participate in an event like that, to bring.
And that works like a charm. Has no problem with that whatsoever. So it's really comfortable doing that as an idea. I'm going to do this again. I'll tell you what I like to do. And this is just me being a little bit crazy. I will do it this way. I will go to here to this cut point, and I'll, again, hold down command while I drag close and snap to this cut point. And on V2, I'm going to go and hit this button, which is the Add Edit button. And the Add Edit button just puts a cut there. And you'll see that now here, there's a cut in the blank space, in this filler space. And so now I have a cut in all of this. And I will grab this, shift click this, shift click this, shift click this, shift click this, this, and even this. And heck, even this as well. I'll grab all of this, even the audio track, and I'm going to move all this over. I really like moving over solid rectangles. Moving over weird, Tetris piece shapes always feels weird to me. You ever play Tetris before? You never want this shape because this shape isn't going to fit nicely with everything else. You'd rather have a shape that looks like this. And so if I can add that blank space in there, where I can grab in this, 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 this. It's kind of like packing boxes. You want solid boxes. Weird shaped furniture is always harder to pack away into a storage container or something. But yeah, moving this to here I just feel more comfortable about that. So as an idea, I just feel more comfortable to move it to there and move that like there. And so that for me is kind of a way I like to work. So that's an idea. So just, yeah, if that comes up, having that value, being able to snap that there, it makes more sense to me. It's more logical. It's more reasonable. I feel better about that as an idea. So I don't need that cut there, but just for me, just for organizational sake, it is a better way to go. That said, you can also, if you don't have segment mode on, if the segment mode isn't on, so here's segment mode on, you see the switch turns on, it turns light gray and then turns off, but the segment mode's on. You could also, if you wanted to be quick, you could drag a lasso around this clip entirely and grab in here and grab that entire section like there. So you didn't have to do shift click, click, shift, hold down shift and click and through all of this. You could just say, no, I want this whole thing. And you have to drag a lasso around the whole damn thing. So for example, if I want to grab grown-up table, I can't just drag inside a grown-up table or drag a portion of grown-up table or something, or like this or whatever. I have to drag completely engulf grown-up table. So I have to completely grab the clip and grab the entire clip there. So if I want a grown-up table and breakout room, I drag a lasso around all of this and it would go into there and do like that. Now, the really tricky place is the first clip. If I want to grab clip A here, you'll notice that clip A here, it's really small. There's a really small gap. If I miss it, I don't grab the whole clip. I've gotten pretty good at it, but if you're like, whoops, didn't grab all of it, almost grab, you got to get like right into this tiny little margin right here and grab before the clip, completely engulf the clip with your rectangle and grab that entire clip. And then you can move that clip around like so. And so you can grab sections there, like there. Or if you don't feel like doing the lasso grab, just put yourself in segment mode and use the shift keys. Now, the segment mode buttons on the keyboard, they're under a shift key. So shift A and shift S. So shift S would be segment mode, would put you in a segment mode for that there. So you could turn that segment mode by hitting shift S on or off, basically. If you're here at the timeline, shift S would turn that on or off. So you do have a shortcut for doing that. But now we're here. Let's talk about this other segment mode. This other segment mode is called lift overwrite. Now, lift overwrite works differently than extract splice in. Lift overwrite would say, hey, if I grab a clip like this one and hit delete, it just lifts this out. Remember before, shift S would say, extract that clip. Oops. So I grab Fidel here, boom, extracts that clip right there. Overwrite would say just eliminate it. This is called lift overwrite. Now, lift overwrite would be a case of here, if I grab this clip, I would lift it out of here and then overwrite it on top of this other clip, which would work like that, which is a thing I could do. I could grab this entire clip and just overwrite it on top of this and do like that. Now, if I want to do that, I could do that. I tend not to do that on my main content. I'll be honest. I tend not to do that with the main content section of these tracks. I tend not to lift overwrite in that way. I tend to use that with stuff like this. So if I say I want this clip, if I want this clip moved over, I tend to use this over and move this over. And I want to kind of like, if I have stuff on upper tracks or if I have music on lower tracks and I just want to shift the music over a little bit, I'll tend to use lift overwrite. Because what it's saying is it's lifting it out of here and then overwriting it someplace else. And the reason I do that, the reason why I approach it from this way, from this kind of strategy, is that here, for example, if I had these clips, and these clips, I just wanted to space them out or move them over or something, and I want to move this clip over. What's going to happen sometimes, let me not do it this way, is if I take this clip here and I move this one before this clip, I want to put this down here and lay this here without touching this clip. And that works perfectly fine. I can grab this clip and move it over here, and that doesn't mess with this clip. But if I were to do this with extract splice in, so if I were to switch here from not lift overwrite, but to extract splice in, when I put this clip back down, it's going to push 2901 over, because it's splicing in. And I tend to want, like with this stuff, like cutaways and upper tracks or titles and upper tracks, I just want to move this title over, and I don't want to throw off everything down the timeline. So I don't want to splice in this case. I just want to overwrite. So for stuff like this, I tend to, again, right click, turn this off and just be lift override and just be able to move this without moving this. Same thing if I have music or sound effects or some kind of other sound bite or something. I just want to shift that over and I don't want to throw everything else. If I move it past the clip, I don't want to throw the whole timeline off. Lift override is kind of a more reliable way to do this. It makes more sense. And again, with extract splice in, if you're in extract splice in and you do hit the delete key, you are going to extract. I'm going to cut this out and pull this clip back. If you're in lift override and you hit the delete key, you're just going to delete it and leave it where it is. So you can use that as a simple delete function. But this is a function that you can turn on and turn off. So one of the things that's nice is that I find that in Avid, a lot of times I'm dragging through the timeline. And I can drag through on the timeline, the timecode track here. I have a little timecode track here that I can drag through and play through, and that's fine. I also have, clips up here. The problem is if this is on and I go like this and I try to drag through here, I end up moving clips around and making a big oops. Oh, hopefully I can undo. Yeah, cool. And so I do that. So if I want to be able to drag through and I don't want my finger to slip and actually go whoops and do that. If I don't want to do that, just turn that off. Man, now I can just drag through the timeline, back up, move to different parts of the timeline without worrying about, did I accidentally just move a clip over? And boom, do like that. Man, Shift A, turn that off. Cool. So again, keyboard Shift A and Shift S will toggle through those keyboard settings. Let's see, keyboard, holding the Shift. You can see Shift A and Shift S will toggle through those two keys for there. You may have seen, though, that there is an option for the best of both worlds. Shift A and Shift S, having both these on gives you this split segment mode key. Now, what the heck is the split segment mode key? Well, the split segment mode key tries to give the best of both worlds. The trick is if I click on the upper half of the track, so I'm going to hold down Command option and drag this clip, make it super big. So right here on this clip, we'll zoom in a little bit. If I'm on the upper portion of this clip right here, you'll see that my cursor right now is the red guy, and the red guy is lift override. So if I'm here on this cursor, I am choosing lift override. Boom. If I'm here on the lower half of the track, so just imagine there's like an invisible equator right in the middle of this track. So it's lift override up here. If I grab from here, it's lift override. If I grab from down here, it's extract splice in. So one of these would lift override. And again, I can look at this and see here, if I grab the clip like this and hit delete, it's going to do one or the other of how it's going to move, of what it's going to do. And so this is that trick of I can either lift override, grab it from here and move it, boom. Or let's say this clip, I can grab this clip in here and drag this over here. It doesn't move this other clip over. Or I can extract splice in, and now we'll push that over. And so that's the difference, is that I have best of both worlds. For me personally, and maybe because I'm too, I don't know, too weird. This is too much for me. This is too much for me. This is too much control. I don't love having this much ability, because now I have to question, like if I click in the middle, did I hit the red guy or did I hit the yellow guy? I never remember. And I'm always worried that I have to click away. And it's too much for me to think about. I don't want the split. I don't want the dual. So I'm going to hit Command Shift equal or go to File Settings. And I'm going to go to Timeline Settings. Under Timeline Settings, there's a control that says there's two sections of this timeline settings. There's Display and Edit. Under Edit, there's an option that says only one segment tool can be enabled at a time. I'm going to choose only one segment tool. That way, I never get yellow and red together. I either get it Shift S and get yellow. Sorry, let me close this. Shift S and I get yellow on or off. Or I get Shift A and I switch to red. Yellow or red, yellow or red. I'm holding down Shift and A and S. I never get both. That way I can never do both. It just kind of prevents me from accidentally doing both. And I can toggle between any one of these back and forth as I need to. And I don't have to worry about that. I wanted to either be segment mode lift override, or I want to be segment mode extract splice in. And I don't want to do the whole combination. No, it's too weird. It's too weird. I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. And so that's a thing. So those options are there for you. We're going to go and we're going to do something a little bit different with this sequence, or we're going to do something else. Yeah, let's do something else. Let's just make a montage of B-roll here. So I'm going to go here to Timeline new sequence. And I'm going to choose new sequence. And I'm going to say new sequence, Command N, Command Shift N, and new sequence. And we're going to call this, we'll call this string out. And I want to talk about this as an idea of what's called a string out. And there's a couple of different approaches to a string out. There's a couple of different ways to look at a string out. What we're going to talk about the idea of dragging and dropping clips into the timeline using segment modes and approaching this from these different segment modes. I'm going to close the audio mixer window here. I'm just going to have this here. And we're looking at this B-roll here. And here's all this B-roll here. I'm going to grab all this B-roll here, and I'm just going to clear the marks. I'm going to click on all these. So some of these have in and out marks, and I'm just going to get rid of the mark in and out points. I'm going to hit the G key, which was the clear both marks. D was clear in point, F was clear out point, G was clear both marks. Clear all the marks out of here like so. I can click any one of these clips and open them up and see that they're all there. I'm just looking to see, and these clips are perfectly fine. Cool. Just want to check these clips and see what they are. This looks good, cool, etc. And I have all these clips as they are. Great. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go here, and I can do this as a well, we'll leave this sequence has been here. This is the string out sequence. So now I'm in the string out sequences. I'm going to do a couple things. One of the things I can do is I can go through and I can say, let's grab all these clips and let's grab them all by creation date. So I'm going to go here, right click and sort on column ascending. This is the order that these clips were shot in from creation date. And I'm going to grab all these clips from here. And I'm going to grab all of them. I can either hit shift click and grab all of them like this, or I could go here and hit Command A and grab all these clips and then do that. Again, Control A on a PC. And I'm going to drag all these clips down on the timeline like there. And it's going to bring in all these clips in a row like so. Let me just do that again. Well, here, I can just get rid of this all. We'll just go home, in point, out point, X. Cool. Let me grab in. I just want to clean up one of these clips here. Yeah, okay, cool. So again, Command A, we're going to grab in, Command A, we're going to grab all these clips here, and I'm going to just drag them all in, and they'll drag all these clips in here and has all the footage here of everything. This is all the footage without in and out points. So this is everything in the sequence. This is sometimes what's referred to as what's called a raw string out. And this is all the footage there. So if, for example, you had a client who wants to see all the footage you shot that day. So you have a client or you have a producer who says, hey, show me all the footage you shot and just give me a copy of all the footage you shot. You can give them what's called a raw string out, which is just basically, hey, they don't want to get 60 clips. They just want one clip. That's all the footage. So they know how much footage they have there. So we know from looking at this that we have 10 minutes of B-roll. We have roughly about, 10 minutes and 13 seconds of B-roll. And that's just dragging that all down. So we can talk about that idea of dragging clips down from there. So you can drag clips down right from the bin. Now, that would be a raw string out. That's one way of producing it. So we're going to sequence this, and we're going to call this one raw string out. Now, let's work on a little bit more selective. We're going to hit Command Shift N or Control Shift N. We're going to make a new sequence. We're going to call this selected string out. And here with the selected string out, we're going to go back to the B-roll and we're going to look and we're going to say, okay, let's go here and let's look in this clips and let's say we like this clip. We like Command click this clip, this clip. We don't like this one. This one's kind of boring. We like this, this, that. These clips. We don't like this one. We like this, this, that. We like this one. We don't like that one. We like handing papers. This one's okay, but now let's get rid of this one. And now we're selecting which clips we want to, and only keeping certain clips and choosing just those clips for our string out. And then we have a little bit more selective string out. Again, a way we can approach this. I'm going to mark the beginning, home key, in point, end key, out point, grab all this, hit the X key and get rid of all this. Or we could even do this. We could call this, we're going to change the name of this, select the string out. We're going to call this rough cut. Under rough cut, we're going to do this. Or we're going to call this, actually, we're going to call this storyboard. Storyboard. And here in storyboard, we're going to choose this. And we're going to say, let's go into here. And let's say we're going to open up with this clip. We are going to cut to this clip and then cut to this clip. I'm putting these in a row like this. I'm going to go to this clip, then to this clip, then this clip, and then end with this clip. So we have these 7 clips in a row. And now watch what I can do. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to hit the Command L, make this a little bit bigger. So now I have these 7 clips here. I'm going to Command L. Watch what I can do here. We're going to make this as big as possible. I'm going to go to this clip. Watch this. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit the J, K, and L keys. The J, K, and L keys work inside the frame view as well. I can hit L. Watch this. Hit play. In point. Out point. Out point. In point. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Out point. I'm using the I and O keys on the fly. So while this is playing, in point.
Start off by greeting you with the Hindu greeting, Namaste.
Out point. I want to greet you with the Hindu. I want to introduce today with into whatever you said. Greeting with the yeah.
Okay.
Let me get a.
In point. Out point. Cool.
Where else?
In point. Out point. Get the end of the cough. Oops. Oop, get a little error there. In point. Out point. Cool. And I can grab all these clips in a row like so, and I can throw them in a timeline. And what this will do is when this comes down the timeline, this will come to the timeline and acknowledge all these in and out points. I'm having a little bit of problem with this clip. I got to figure out what's wrong with that one. But it will acknowledge it with all the in and out points and all the in points in the timeline, and we'll play them back like so, acknowledging all the in and out points there. This is a really rough way to edit. This is what's kind of what I consider what's called the storyboard edit, where you grab these clips in a row. It grabbed A, C, B, handing paper, Rutgers table, breakout room, and 5301, all these clips in a row as they were, perfectly fine, like so. So it did all those like there. Yeah, this one's having a little bit of an audio error. We'll move this out of the equation. So now it's just going to do left to right, these clips in a row, boom.
I like to start off.
There, and there, it's doing all the clips there. That's another way of editing clips down the timeline. But question is, we want to edit clips down the timeline naturally. So let's talk about this with this other sequence here. Let's look at sequence and let's look at main sequence again. And we're going to grab main sequence here. So let's talk about an idea here. I want to take, and this is where it gets a little tricky. This is where it's going to get tricky. I want to take a piece of B-roll here. I have a cutaway of a shot here of this guy talking, 2801. We'll move this down a little bit smaller. We'll open this up a little bit, and he's going to say here.
That he had set forth when he had graduated high school.
In point.
So after a couple of years in college, Keith decided to leave that college and return back home in central Jersey.
Okay, out point. So now I have this clip, and I've marked this point from in point, out point. Now, perfectly easy enough, I could go here between Fidel and Wayne, and I could say, hey, I want to throw this clip right in here in between these two clips. Hey, I have a cursor marked right here. I have command click right there. I can just splice in. I can hit the V key and splice this in perfectly fine. But I do want to drag and drop. Drag and drop works. People used to complain that you couldn't drag and drop in Avid. You could always drag and drop in Avid. It always worked. It's just not, I don't know. It's sometimes not the best way to edit because it becomes tricky. What are you doing when you're drag and dropping? In this case, when I drag and drop and I pull this clip down, I am, in this case, overwriting. Why? Because overwriting is on. And I am overwriting this clip onto here. And so that is definitely overwriting this clip on top of these clips. But I don't want to do that. I want to splice in. So I want to make sure that I'm on splice in when I do this. And therefore, it will splice in. In this case, it didn't splice in, it overwrote. I know, right? Yeah, why is it overwriting? Man, it's still overwriting even though I chose splice in. That's because Command Shift equal under user settings, under timeline, under under default segment tools should be set to insert. and it's still overwriting. All right, so we're going to look at this sequence here, and we're going to say that we want to move this over here, and I want to add some more clips onto the end of this here. So we're going to grab here, and we're going to grab some interviews clips, and we're going to look at, say, Aaron. And so we'll grab Aaron here, and here's Aaron. Now, from here, we could simply enough, click and drag Aaron down here entirely onto the end of this, and drag Aaron here, and then boom. Drags Aaron onto the end of this. But this is all of Aaron. This is everything. Even Aaron laughing in the beginning and me ask the question, I don't want this. So how do I not do this? So here, I'm going to go in here and
All right, we're good.
mark it in out
Aaron,
points.
tell me a little bit about your involvement in this event and what you're doing here and what basically you've experienced here.
Okay, we're tabling. I'm gonna do that over.
All right.
We're tabling for NJCU. Actually, we have a partnership with Brookdale, and what we're offering our students the opportunity to come to Brookdale and then transfer into NJCU through Wall Township, so they can stay down here close to home and still be able to be an NJCU student.
So I can take this now and I can mark this and grab this here. Now, fair enough. Could I simply hit the V key right now? Yeah. I mean, my cursor's here, my things here. I could, boom, grab that in there. But if you really want to drag down, yeah, you can drag down. Now, am I splicing in or am I overwriting? Well, honestly, it doesn't really matter because I'm just adding on to the end here. And so here at the end here, I'll hold down Command and just snap on. And here's Aaron added on the end there.
Organization.
We're tabling for NJCU. Actually, we have a partnership with Brookdale, and what we're offering our students.
Now, again, we want to add in B-roll in this case. So now we're going to cut to B-roll, and we're going to grab some B-roll of these students here. I don't know. This is not really appropriate B-roll, but we'll take it. We're going to mark an in point and out point. Now, we want to cover over this section where he says.
Actually, we have a partnership with Brookdale, and what we're offering our students the opportunity to come to Brookdale and then transfer into NJCU.
So here he says, come to Brookdale and transfer to NJCU. This is the section where he's going to say, come to Brookdale and transfer to NJCU. In which case, we want to bring this down. And when we bring this down, we're going to push this down here, and it's going to push this over. And what that does is it pushes this over.
For NJCU, actually, we have a partnership with Brookdale, and what we're offering our students the opportunity to come.
Which is not what I want to do. This is obviously not what I want to do. And you'll notice that what I did was this spliced this in.
To Brookdale.
And that's not what I want to do. And that's because my segment mode was switched to splice in. Here we can switch it back to overwrite, and now it's going to overwrite. But I want to overwrite it without the audio. So I want to turn the audio off on the track selectors and just splice it in and just drag it in here. And if I drag it right to here, to the edge here, I can drag it to there. And so I can drag it. And there's a fine little mark that if I hit right at the edge here, it'll actually acknowledge the input out points. If I'm off a little bit, it won't. If I'm earlier a little bit, it won't. But right here, it acknowledges the in out points. And now I can overwrite this on top of here.
Brookdale, and what we're offering our students the opportunity to come to Brookdale and then transfer into NJCU through Wall Township.
And that would work if you want to do it that way. Me personally, if you get used to the controls and if you get your hands on the controls and understand how they work, I will always argue that using in and out points, using splice in, using overwrite, using the keyboard controls is going to be faster. You are going to edit faster. People really like the idea of dragging and dropping. I drag and drop all the time. It becomes tricky, though. It becomes tricky of what you're actually doing when you're dragging and dropping because there's a bunch of things to pay attention to. I often think of dragging and dropping like I think of cooking food, for example. If I'm going to cook food, I'm going to measure things properly. If I'm following a recipe, I'm going to follow the ingredients in the recipe because I want to make sure that I'm exactly proper on the recipe of what I'm being asked to do and what the ingredients are and all those kind of controls. But sometimes, like for example, when I make French toast, I don't measure the amount of cinnamon I put in my French toast. My French toast mix, little egg, little vanilla, and then more cinnamon than is humanly necessary. And I'll just keep pouring cinnamon in until I feel it's good. I have no idea. What is it, a cup? I don't know, 16 cups? I have no idea. I just do it there. Dragging and dropping for me is kind of like that. You're kind of at the will and whim of kind of, it's more of a feeling kind of thing, which sometimes feels kind of cool, but it gets a little tricky. So you can do drag and drop to bring clips in the timeline, but it depends on what you're doing, whether you're in extract splice in or whether you're in lift overwrite, and what you're doing. If this is not on, it depends on Command Shift equal, or again, file settings. Under timeline settings, the default segment tool. If you don't have this and you drag down, it will segment insert right now, which is splice in, or you can choose overwrite as your default. So this is if this was off, which it will do naturally. But you can do that, and you can, and I know people who edit perfectly fine, dragging, dropping, and building sequences that way. For me, I'm quicker by using the in and out points, because at some point, you know, if you don't want the entire clip, you're marking in and out point for the part of the clip you want. If you're adding into something, you're doing it, and it makes more sense to me, at least as a teacher, to teach the idea of 3-point editing, because at the end of the day, even when you are dragging and dropping, you are 3-point editing, and so that is there. Anyway, these are the controls that you have for segment tools inside of moving clips around with segment tools into the timeline. Again, to grab clips and move them, whatever you need to do, or to delete them. Again, the red guy will delete and lift, and the yellow guy will delete and extract. And so it'll cut out like so, and those tools are available to you. We'll talk about some other stuff later on, and we'll move into trimming hopefully soon. But for now, this will be an introduction into some of that.